everybody. You know, it always makes me laugh that I wave at you guys. Like when I was on the radio, I didn't wave. And because it's my iPhone, I never know if it's like, if there's the camera or there's the, I think it's there, but it doesn't matter. The upshot is that I'm here with you for the first time in 2 weeks. I missed you so much. I had surgery, and the show's supposed to start technically at 8 on the nose, whatever. My producer Stanton is in a different time zone. He's in Texas, dodging COVID, and or at least trying. And I have so much to tell you that even though it's not exactly 8 on the nose, I said, let's get started. I'm excited. So the first thing I want to do is tell a little story about what this has done for me in a weird micro way. So let's go micro and then we'll go macro. So the micro is that before I learned how to set up this light rig and got myself an iPad Pro and, you know, started doing Facebook Live. By the way, I started doing Facebook Live on March 25th. It was the Wednesday after St. Patrick's Day. And I landed on St. Patrick's Day. I was totally freaked out. LAX was totally empty. And then it took me like a few days of horrible New Zealand jet lag of WTFness. And then I just felt like I had to change, that the times were changing and I had to adapt or I would be left behind, or not even left behind, just not function. My mind was not going to function. And a dear friend, Dan Paul, said, you should start a Facebook Live. And I thought, well, that's going to be tough because I really don't understand social media. To me, it's an extension of technology, which I also don't understand completely. I'm trying. And he, you know, and it was weird because I remember the first day I was sitting there and, you know, I'm accustomed to having a layer. Like I've got a mic in my hand on stage. I've got a mic in my face for the podcast, or if I'm on the radio station, and all of a sudden I'm just sitting in a chair, talking into my phone, into the abyss, if you will. And I started that. And because it's sort of a Noah's Ark biblical thing, I said, I'm committing to 40 days. Little did I know, to me, 40 days seemed like 40 days. And then it'll be like a day or two. And then we'll be back on, you know, life, whatever that is. So I committed to the 40 days, which ended Sunday, May the 3rd. And then I just kept going. And then let me just tell you a little bit about the journey, because when it was, you know, June 24th this week, I thought, holy cow, it's been 3 months and I've only taken 3 days off, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of my surgery. That's it. Since that 90 days, you know, those 3 months, I've been with my Facebook Live group every day at 3:30. And I'm one of those people that until I get really good at something, I don't ask a lot of people to join me and work with me and be part of it because, you know, it's kind of like I'm building a mystery. So I started podcasting, all right, at the end of the summer of 15. I can tell you, it was August of 15. August of 15. Like, it's coming up on 5 years. It seems like 500 in some ways. But how that happened was that a friend of mine, Andy Dean, that used to be on a show called The Miracle One, and actually won Apprentice before there was Celebrity Apprentice, just regular Apprentice, and was, you know, working even before 15. He wasn't working with Donald Trump, but he'd done some business with him and was involved with the campaign. And he developed a platform called Connect Pal, where you could post podcasts. And before I even went on Connect Pal, which, just so you know, that should prove to you, I have friends. Like, this guy literally worked on Trump's campaign, and I consider him a friend and I respect him. Okay. And then there's people that are, you know, left of, we don't need no stinking badges. I'm on, you know, was on regularly with Stephanie Miller, who sits there with her "He Ain't My President" shirt or whatever, and still beloved, dear friend, spend a lot of time with her. So, you know, he told me about Connect Pal, and it was a subscription-based podcast, blah, blah, blah. And at the time, I knew nothing nothing. But I was so interested in being a part of what I knew was not only coming, but was already here, that although I had a respected and decently paid slot on KFI, I would take my little shekels, and I didn't have many because I wasn't doing a ton of stand-up because I was on KFI on Saturday nights, and I rented studio time. I didn't even ask my bosses, hey, do you want? No, I rented studio time from Rick Dees, and I paid an engineer $45 an hour. So every podcast put me $105 in the hole, which I didn't even care. It was like going to college. So it was $420 I could ill afford a month to learn to do something. And I actually have those podcasts archived still. Some of them are on ConnectPal, but my audio engineer, Tony Sorrentino, has them all. And at some point, we're going to find a way to put them on YouTube with maybe just photographs, montage, animation, so that you will have an archive of 50 or 60 podcasts that I'm quite proud of, but I shared with very few people because I was learning the rhythm of podcast, because podcast is not the same as radio. You have to learn to do things. You have to decide that you want to learn. I wanted to learn. So when my friend Dan Paul said, it's a different time, Monique, I really think that if you wrapped your head around it, you could get good at social media. And I thought about it, and I thought, I've always been a little bit of a hostile witness at a murder trial when it comes to social media, because I see social media in my mind in the past as sort of the death of civility, that I didn't want Facebook posts to replace phone calls or birthday cards, or, certainly Twitter, which I'm still, the fact that I have, over 8,000 followers on Twitter to me is a mystery, because I'm like witness protection Twitterer. Plus, I don't like anything that starts with the word twit to begin with. And it seemed like most people were twits because all they do is posting political views in capitals or pictures of their cats. And I was like, I don't know about this. But that being said, here's how it works with me. I'm not good at something. I suck. It's almost like, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross talks about the 5 levels of death, the 5 phases, which is anger, denial, bargaining, depression, acceptance. That's how I work. It's like, I'm angry that social media is a thing. I'm denying that I have to participate, because death is death. And it's death of a belief, and it's death of a thought, and it's death of something that's going to hold you back. Anger, denial, bargaining, depression, acceptance. I was bummed about COVID. I'm bummed that I can't reach out and touch people, that I can't wait for you at the back door at Hermosa. I was bummed, that I couldn't be on a cruise ship and perform in a huge theater. Bummed. Anger, denial, bargaining, depression, acceptance, until I wasn't. And when I wasn't, I said, I'm going to do this thing. Now, I can't do all of them at once. So I started with Facebook Live on Wednesday, the 25th of March. That Saturday night was my first YouTube live stream. And in a very short amount of time, my friend Stanton helped me. All I had was a YouTube channel as a placeholder. I had 1,000 followers, whatever. I just got it so no one else could. It was a nothing. Again, witness protection. And my friend Stanton said, I think we could turn this into something. People seem to like you. I said, yeah, that seems to be sort of how it goes, except ex-husbands. I do pretty well with humans. So we started building this mystery, and now it's doubled in 90 days. We're at 3,500 people and growing. And I know that when I get my back into it, it'll grow more. I just want to feel confident that I'm doing a good job for you, and that when you tap into my live stream, I know you like the podcast. I've been getting wonderful views and comments on the 2 full podcasts we post, which are I Love It When a Plan Comes Together, which is the newer one. If you haven't heard it, take a listen. And the one before that, Hindsight is So 2020, which I recorded in January, which is like, whoa, if I doubted that I had a little bit of the gift of prophecy, boy, when I go back and listen to Hindsight is So 2020, I could have recorded it the day I flew back from Australia. But the point is this: anger, denial, bargaining, depression, acceptance. I have accepted that I can do this. I will do this. I will do it well. I have accepted that if I put my back into it to find the goodness in it, like I do with everything else in life, that it can be monumentally useful. And I'm going to tell you a wonderful story about a man named Hector. Okay. I noticed when I started going live that there was the same group of people. There's about 41 to 55 people that every day at 3:30, within a minute of me speaking, pop on. And then I noticed that there was one person who not only watched every day, but it says like so-and-so shared your post, was sharing my live, my 3:30 every day. And I said, if this person feels a connection and cares that much about my work, because I have the time, I'm not a big celebrity. I'm not Oprah throwing away unopened mail. That was a big scandal, but I don't, what can she do? She's Oprah. I said, I want to know this person. So I went to his page and I noodled around and I looked at pictures and I followed the stream and I followed the people he followed. And I looked at who he tagged. And I figured out that he was a very cool, kind of like me, Comic-Con nerd, bright. Just there was something there where I could see why this guy likes me, because I've never met him and I like him very much. And now 3 months later, I've never met him, but we when we message after 3 months of meeting up every day at 3:30 for virtual coffee, and him appreciating my work enough to share it, we're there. So a funny thing happened this week, in that I tend to digress and I get very excited about things. Hello from Southern Indiana. Yay. Hey, Rob. I'm going to talk about you too. Because Rob was one of my friends. I don't even like to say fans. It sounds so like, ooh. No, I know these people that are with me on my weekdays, and I I'm doing my level best, and I have a good memory to connect with as many of you as possible. But Rob listened to I Love It When a Plan Comes Together and took the time to text me that it did something profound. He private messaged me that it meant the world to him and that it did something profound. And, I got to be honest with you. It's all evergreen. I listen to the old ones and they make sense still. Thank you for saying that. Look, I would like to be remunerated as much as the next guy. Of course, who doesn't like nice things? But I can't even tell you, I'm one of those people that if I'm in the right place with the right waiter and I'm feeling sassy and he goes, can I get you anything else? I always say, well, if you've got a Coach bag with a pound of hundreds and a vibrator in the bottom, it's a joke, of course. I'll explain more about why it's a joke. I'm sure a pound of hundreds is a pretty good amount of money. We'll discuss self-pollination later when the time is appropriate. But the point is that who doesn't like money? Of course. But I feel in a strange way that because I was willing and open to let beliefs that didn't serve me die, anger, denial, bargaining, depression, acceptance, because I said, I don't want to do this until I do. It's about decision. And in the last 3 months, I've made big decisions. Big. Because I had the time. Because I got to know some of you. Because I got to know that what I do means something to you. And I'm a sunflower. If I feel the warmth of your approval, your love, your support, I am all about. I love cash, but man, do I love love more. I'm being honest. I love love. When you take the time to send me a message, and I want you guys to think about this in the micro, which is me and Hector, because I don't even know Hector. Guess what? I love the guy. I just feel something when I see his name pop up. It just tickles me, and Rob, there's a few of you, Dean, there's a few of you that when I see your names, hey, Mary, it does something to me. And Evie, of course, and Sandy Jones. I mean, I know you guys, Felipe Nava. I know you guys. I have a relationship. I saw you pop on there. Hi, and Christian Gonzalez from the Valley. But here's the thing. When I explain to people that I never want to do anything out of obligation. I had my family here until Wednesday. I love them. It's not, I have to love my mother because she's my mother. I have to love my nieces because they're my flesh and blood. I have freed myself from the prison of obligation. I love them because they're wonderful and I feel blessed. And whatever quirks they have in their personality, hello, their last name is Marvez. That's synonymous with quirky. They do something when they're near me, to me. And it's very hard for my mom to understand that because she comes from a generation of women where your only value is if you're doing. What can I do for you? How can I make you happy? It's very hard for women, even now, but certainly of her generation, for me to say, Mom, the girls are here to physically take care of me after my surgery. Because to be honest, my mom just had a knee replacement and she's just a little Latina butterball who's not very strong. And the thought of her helping me get out of bed to go to the restroom is hilarious. So, I have two sturdy little nieces that can do for me and walk my dog and lift everything over a few pounds. I'll talk about my surgery in a minute. But it's very hard for my mom to understand that what made me heal was that my mommy was here. Not that my mommy did anything for me. I mean, yeah, she cooked for me and she could bring me a cup of café con leche and, just having her near me. She's my mommy. Do you understand? And now you guys are my buds. And I say buds like I say mommy. Because what's made me master the platform, the glittering lure, the breadcrumbs that keep me showing up on Saturday nights and at 3:30 and feeling the need to compile stories for you, because I actually have stories. It's not just going to be all about me. We got time. But, what does that is, the energy, the currency. Some things are more cash than cash. And it's hard for my mother because as much as I love her and my nieces and my brothers, I really don't have a lot of use for a lot of other people, and especially distant family. And my mom's one of those old school Latinos that feels like if you once spent a Christmas together, and there's a problem with a distant cousin in Miami, it's like hands across America. And my mom will say like, well, your cousin so-and-so. I'm like, I don't care about my cousin so-and-so. I don't know them. And it's hurtful to her. And I should be nicer when I say it, but I'm kind of trying to get her to stop talking to me about people I don't care about. Maybe I would be a better daughter if I just let her talk, But it's never good. And that's the problem. She's never saying, your cousin that you never see? They just graduated cum laude from Harvard. No, it's never that. It's your cousin so-and-so who's just a few years older than you already has dementia. Who wants to hear that? Here's your answer. Nobody. And she doesn't understand that I tell her, I go, Mommy, I go to the light. You know why I love doing my 3:30 and I love, joking around with the nieces? Because I'm a sunflower and my petals turn. Flowers unapologetically reach for sunlight. Their roots dig down for water no matter what. They unapologetically, without compunction, reach up and down and out for what they need to grow and be better. That's what they do. So you never have to apologize. Some of you have let me know. I just got a text from a guy that I love who's on my 3:30 saying, I've missed a couple of days this week. I'm sorry. I have the COVID. And I'm thinking, Larry, the last thing you need to do is apologize. And if this is a backwards way of asking for prayers or for the group to circle around you, then done. It's done. I totally get that you're not there. And maybe he felt the need to say it because at some point this week, when I was still feeling a little woozy, I said, I'll know when to not do the 3:30s. I'll just know. It's not about I'm going to get a job and I'm going to be busy and wander away from you. It'll be because it's not 35 or 40 or 50 people. It's 10. I said, when the number becomes small and the watches become less, then heck, we'll just message each other. But that's not how it's been. The number is the same. And the number of views has been consistent almost from day one. And some people that are new to it actually rewatch the old ones. So the old ones aren't necessarily static. They're gaining numbers, which tells me that us being there for each other, that us being each other's sun in this time when it can get a little bit dark is needed and useful and lovely. And I've always told my friends, this is one of my analogies I use, when my mother goes, well, I just don't understand how you can be related to somebody and not care. It's like, because they're not warm. We don't have that kind of interaction. They're not the sun. They're not soil. They're not water. And when you talk about them, it just kind of curls my petals. Have you ever seen a flower reaching to the sun and then it says, oh, my cousin's on the phone. Let me curl myself into a nasty little knot and reach to the dark, shady corner. No, flowers don't do that. Now, I'm blessed that I have my cousin Kimberly. She called this week. We went on a cruise together last September. Me and Kimberly in high school talk about skipping school in Texas and drinking Pearl beer because it was cheap. And, you know, I mean, we were just trouble. We were nitro and glycerin. We were Thelma and Louise. Now, that's a great talk about sunshine through the little holes in the telephone, you know. But you have to allow yourself, and I say you in the rhetorical, you can do whatever you want. But in this time of COVID in particular, do whatever it takes to grow under these circumstances. Throw your roots down if that's what you got to do, and stand your ground and say, you know what, I'm just staying in my house. That's what I need to do. I'm not taking any chances. I would love to participate in a march. There's a lot of things I would love to do, but right now I'm all about roots. Or maybe you need your petals. Maybe you need to be, I have a girlfriend who's, you know, she works in television production. She's extremely intelligent. She's won awards. Like, she is one of my most urbane friends, and just as erudite, like all those fancy words that people rarely use to describe other people and then be real and true. That's her. Okay. And she's not been well during COVID. She has a medical condition that's been slightly exacerbated. And because she got a wrong prescription on top of being locked in her house, she was accidentally semi-poisoned and had to go to the hospital. And she reached out and she said, I would like to actually have a conversation. I'd like to speak. And when we spoke and I found out what happened to her, and this is a friend since 1980, early 86. In fact, it was May of 86 when we became friends. I remember it vividly because one of our first big hangs was a Mother's Day brunch in Miami at a place called Sundays on the Bay, where drug dealers would pull up their big yachts with hoochie chicks. It was just like a scene out of Miami Vice. And they had these drinks called rum runners made with Bacardi 151. So you would be hammer-lamma ding-dong by 2 p.m. And me and my friend, first name Amy, we would sit at Sundays on the Bay. To this very day, I have a picture on a keychain because I was drunk. I mean, I live in Miami. Who buys the keychain at the tourist attraction when they actually live in that city? But I was slammed on rum runners. So I have the keychain of one of our first major all-day hangs, which was Mother's Day at Sundays on the Bay in Key Biscayne, Florida. And when I get really drunk, this is before I was even a stand-up, I would make up fake lives for people that would walk past us. I had Amy in stitches. That's when we knew we were going to be friends because she's a great audience. She doesn't just laugh at what I say. She's a hard laugh. She's really, really bright. She was like bent over because we'd see this guy walking. He's like a skinny guy with shoulder pelts, wearing a Speedo, and a lot of hair on his back. Like, a little hair on your back's okay, but if you got to check for nipples to see if a dude's coming or going. So this guy's like Speedo, shoulder pelts. And she goes, tell me about him. I go, his name is Barry. And he thinks he's a better lover than he really is. And chicks only like him because he's overly generous. And she's like, I think you're right. So every person that walked by, she would be like, what's that person's name? Tell me their story. And I would just make up lives for these people, and she was just crying. And it was a wonderful day. And I love her to pieces. And I have loved her since May of 1986. And she's the kind of person that would rather eat wet worms than tell you she's in distress. So when she texts me and says, my dear friend, can we actually speak? There's nothing I wouldn't do for that girl. Not one thing. So I immediately texted back and said, you tell me the time and place, you tell me what you need. First, we'll talk on the phone. And then if I have to go in your house in a hazmat suit and sit outside the door and we can just talk through your door, I will come to your house. Because I am sunshine to her as she is sunshine to me. And that's what we need to do now. So it's amazing that in just learning, hi, Margaret, she says we need each other. Yes, we do. In just learning, how to adapt, not only have I grown, but I feel so blessed that at 3:30 every day, I have a group of people that are so invested in bringing sunshine to my life that it's actually been, I feel guilty saying this, it's been a blessing. To some degree, COVID has been a blessing. Not only have I embraced Facebook and YouTube, and I actually tweeted a tweet yesterday that got 23 likes because I focused, I can do this. And then all of a sudden, in the last couple of weeks, I've landed I did a Zoom gig, which is on my YouTube page. You can see my very first Zoom comedy. And then I landed a corporate gig and it went well. And then I landed more. So I've actually been, and here's a funny little story. My Monday 3:30 right after my surgery, which was the 15th, I was a little loopy. I could lie to you, but I was on some generic form of some narcotic. I'm sure it's an oxy, but I bought the cheap one because I don't care. It doesn't have to be like the fancy. I bought the generic at Vaughn's. Here's the funny thing too. I had to take all my medications to my doctor when I went for my 1 week checkup. And I was a little bit embarrassed because he's like a fancy guy in Beverly Hills with very nice office and a pharmacy downstairs. And usually, people I'm sure just go downstairs and get their prescriptions filled. And it's, la-di-da pharmacy in Beverly Hills with their own bag with a pretty picture. Not me. I went to the Vaughn's in Koreatown and I told the pharmacist to give me the generic. But I saved like $100 on my prescriptions. I don't care. So I had to take, in my shameful little Vaughn's capsules. But anyway, I was loopsy. I'm a little loopsy now, just remembering it. So I was a little loopy on my 3:30 on the 15th, but I pulled it together. I can't raise my arms very high. So when I put on makeup, it's a little bit like Quasimodo. Like I put it on and then I look up and see how I look. And then I put it on because it's not like I can do big mascara strokes or, my hair looks good because I got it done for you guys at the salon yesterday, but I can't And for those of you who are wondering, what the hell did she have done? If you're new to the land of Monique, so I'm going to tell you a story about how I turned chicken shit into chicken salad or lemons into lemonade, whatever you prefer. And I just kept getting it better and better. And here's what it is. May 25th, 1979, I was supposed to go on a date with this boy named Brad Shive. I shouldn't use first and last names, but I've actually looked for him, and there's lots of Brad Shives, and it was 1979. But he was a hot surfer dude. A little bit now that I'm watching Treme, he had a little bit of a Steve Zahn kind of thing going. And he had like shaggy, dirty blonde hair, and he was Texan, but he wore surfer shorts, and he liked to, jet ski on Lake Houston. By the way, I now officially know that jet ski is code for white trash. But anyway, I'm just sorry. I mean, look, they have one. Kenny Powers has one on Down and Out. There's something about people that love jet skiing. It's just one of those bumblebee stripes. Just beware. It's one thing if you rent a jet ski, but people that actually own a jet ski with a trailer, just be careful is all I'm saying. It's a little bit like certain goatees, like a nice kind of natural shaggy goatee, but when they've got that little tight one, that's a little bit of a warning. I could be a date rapist. Like, be real careful with the goatee. bumblebee stripes. So anyway, Brad Shive did not have a goatee. He had shaggy hair, and he was cute, and he wore in Houston in 1979. He wore surfer shorts, and he had a pickup truck, and he took me to see one of those Clint Eastwood movies with the ape. Remember those, Every Which Way But Loose, and those were great movies, right? So what a better date than that, right? And a group of us went, because that's how it was. You went with a group of friends, and then, you peel off, and me and Brad Shive had already had one exquisite makeout session in his pickup truck. Like it was, that was back when you had bases. Nobody has bases anymore. It's pretty much just like off-way ramp to the hand jam. But back in the day, you had first base, second base, third base, above the shirt, below the waist, all that business. So it was pretty much just a little, over the shirt, above the waist, lots of making out and slobbering. And I think there might have been some mild dry humping, but nothing serious. And like not for reals, just like more like a grazing. Let's call it dry grazing. But I don't know I swear I'm not on medication anymore. I'm just so happy to see you guys. I've really missed you. Can you tell? So anyway, and I'm not even over caffeinated. That's the funny part. I've got my Diet Coke right here, but I haven't taken a sip yet. But what the heck? It's Saturday night. I'm getting loopy. I'm just woo. So anyway, May 25th, 1979, I was supposed to have a date with Brad Shive, making sure I'm not wasting all your time with these goofy stories. So I was supposed to have a date with Brad Shive. It was going to be our second date. And I don't know what movie we were going to see, but there was a movie planned, which I knew was going to end up movie, ice cream, makeout. It was I was excited, and that was during disco. I remember I used to do aerobics to Donna Summer's Live and More. I can picture my shiny, workout in my life. Try me, just one time. Anyway, so I had already done my workout. I had already washed my hair. I was wearing my John Kloss for Lily of France brassiere that was this shiny disco bra that glistened, right? I had two of them. One was melon color, like a peach, and one was like mauve. Remember how big mauve was in the late 70s and early 80s? So I had this mauve. It wasn't pink, but I had a mauve disco bra. And, but they're polyester. And this was back in the day when you could just put your children in pajamas that like just a cigarette ash would make them go up like a Roman candle. So anyway, me and Brad were on the landline. Remember landlines? Brad and I were on the landline like this. And I was straining a pot of spaghetti so that I could cook for my brothers so they could eat before, because my mom was getting ready to go to work. My mom was a nurse and she worked the late shift. So because of the phone, because I was so excited about Brad, because the pot was heavy, the water was at a rolling boil, the phone slipped. I hit the spigot and I splashed about 5 gallons, because it was a big pot of rolling boil water down one side of me, which resulted in 2nd and 3rd degree burns because my polyester bra literally melted onto my right chi and created, a multitude of scars and issues. And I had a skin graft, I had a scar revision. And then in 1990, I had a good job. I was an open micer. I was making good money. I got burned in 1979. 11 years later, I went into a plastic surgeon and I said, I would like to try and do some more scar revision. And he said, well, as long as we're fixing the scar, is this, are you happy with them? Are you happy with the size? Are you, the shape? I was like, no. First of all, they're burned. And second of all, just because of, all of the binding and everything I went through because of the burns, they weren't good. They look a little bit like Snoopy noses. They just weren't good. So anyway, he said, well, because we're doing scar revision and your insurance covers it, we can change that. We can give you whatever kind of boobs you want. It was like Ed McMahon drove to my front yard. Remember those commercials with the big check? It was like, what? But see, I'd never been to a plastic surgeon. I'd only gone to like normal, regular surgeon. Like he was a plastics guy who specialized in chi-chis. That's how I found him. This was before Yelp. I asked people who had had burn problems and breast cancer. I researched. I worked in a fancy boutique, and I asked around. And I found this guy in Miami, Lenny Rudner, Dr. Rudner, but his patients call him Dr. Lenny because he's really nice. And Lenny Rudner was known for his chi-chis. He did burn people and he did mastectomies, but he also did like a bunch of penthouse pets, and he was chi-chi boy. So I remember it like it was yesterday. He said, all right, so how do you want them? I said, I want them big. I want them to be like when I was a little girl, there was ads in the back of like Redbook for the Mark Eden bust developer. And it was always these women in tied gingham shirts that looked like Ellie Mae Clampett with cleavage up to here. And they were like, and I was like, I want to look like a Mark Eden bust developer girl. Which, to be honest, if you bought one of them, it was just a spring to go like this because I saved up my allowance and bought it. It was like the pre-Thigh Master. But anyway, I digress. So what happened is that before I was even burned, I knew that it wasn't going to happen. I was pretty much going to be flatter than day old Coke. The only reason I was a 34B was because I was chubby. But, there's nothing to write home about. So after the burn, after 11 years, here I am, 27, sitting in a plastic surgeon's office who's known to be Dr. Chi-Chi's. And he says, so what do you want? And I said, are you kidding me? When I wake up, if I can see my feet, I'm going to be disappointed. Like when I lean over a man I love, I want to drown out the sun in the stereo. And at the time, I was very physically fit. I was working out. I was a bigger girl. I was into that was in the early 80s, American Gladiator, late 80s, early 90s, American Gladiator. I worked out a lot. I had a trainer. I had a good job. I had money, which is why I could go to the plastic surgeon. And he said, okay. And I September 17th, 1990, I woke up with Ben and Jerry. That's what I call them, my twin towers of Teflon. September 17th, 1990. How do I know this? Because my birthday is September 23rd. And when it was my birthday, in the back of my mind, I would be saying, happy birthday to my boobies. Because I went from having something that I was ashamed of and uncomfortable with and very unattractive to like, it ended up being the talk of the town. Like, they were lovely. Like the first time I saw Ben and Jerry, I couldn't get over myself. I was like, those are gorgeous. That's the set of Shimbolskis right there. So I had them and I loved them. For 25 years, I loved my chi-chis. I knew what it was like if a man had like a big giant, because I know it means something when men have like a Johnson, that they purposely will like take a shower extra long in the locker room to make sure everybody that comes in knows they're packing, So, yeah. However, 25 years later, 2015, I've lost a lot of weight. I've gotten older. I'm perimenopausal. I'm like 25 pounds. I'm just a smaller person, right? I didn't want to be a big bodybuilder girl anymore. I just started shrinking. That's what Latino women do anyway. We just get smaller as we get older. And it bothered me. I'd had them for 25 years and they weren't Ben and Jerry anymore. They were just kind of, how an ice cream cone, you got the big double D scoops. Now they were just kind of melty and they weren't good, but they weren't terrible. And it's not like I show them to a lot of people. So I was fine. I was doing it. I was whatever. But again, as luck would have it, when it really started bothering me and I said, you know what? It's been 25 years. I really need to investigate, because they always say you should replace them every 15 or 20. And I hadn't given it much thought until I did. And I looked at them and I said, I've loved you. You've been good to me, but we need to part company. I am 25 pounds thinner than when I got you. You guys don't look the same. It's hard. I'm a runner. I got a double bag. P.S. almost as soon as I started really thinking, that's how I know that it works when you think positive and not negative. I thought, well, I'm doing well. I'm on cruise ships. When the time is right, I'll switch them out. I got a call from a wonderful woman who runs a PR service who represents an amazing doctor named Dr. Roddy Raban. He's in Beverly Hills, and he's doing a podcast. He still does it, Plastic Surgery Uncensored. I recommend you take a look. He posted on Instagram, follow him, Dr. Roddy Raban. He's a miracle worker. Miracle. 60% of his work is fixing other people's problems. So because I'm never going to look at my ice cream the same way, because Dr. Raban, and I kind of knew each other, I said, look, rather than pay me to be your co-host, because you always, like Dr. Drew has Psycho Mike, if you're a real doctor, a serious doctor, and he's a board certified plastic surgeon, he's not like a cosmetic guy that works on Groupon. No, this is like the tippy. He's the tip. I wouldn't have been his co-host if I didn't believe in him. He's the best. Am I back? You guys will let me know when I'm back. Hello. Stanton.
Hey, Monique. We can hear you. The camera went out, and now there's one singular booby on screen, just waiting for your video image to come back. Hi, everybody. Give a big thumbs up if you're enjoying tonight's show, man. This is amazing. This is great stuff. I'm just standing over here in awe, listening to you tonight. Also, share the show link. We still have some time tonight. Get some other friends in here. Let's get this party going.
Can you hear me?
All right, we can hear you now.
Can you see me?
Can't see you.
I don't know why.
Wow. And then there's the that's the default. I could throw an icon up.
I hit camera.
Here, I'm going to remove you and then put you back in and see if that does anything.
All right.
All right, folks. I'm just seeing. Mm-hmm. Hey, Monique, maybe you could end it and then log back in and see if that. And in the meantime, since it seems like I have the audience, I was going to attempt to show something to you guys. Let me see if I can do this. Here we go. All right, this is a video of one of the implants coming out. And here we go. I'm not sure if you're getting the audio on this or not, but is that it? Yeah, that's the full video. And all right. Okay, and Monique is back.
Show them the stuff.
I did. I just showed the one video. And now you're back. You want me to show the other one?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. See if I can, okay, if I do that, and then let's see. Okay, and then, sorry, professional streamer here.
Okay, if they saw the one, I can keep talking.
Right on. Yeah, I'll get out of here. I'll let the professional take over.
Could they see the goo, Stanton? Did they see the goo?
Yes, ma'am. We showed the goo.
Oh, as long as they saw the goo, we're good. So So I would not, I don't do things for the money. I do it because it's the right thing. And when I met Dr. Raban and I saw his work and I looked through his gallery, I said, it would be an honor to be your co-host. You are an amazing doctor. And we clicked and we decided that rather than have, exchange of money, that, I would get things. It worked out. Like I said, here's what I want. And I showed him and we looked at my boobs and we decided how many podcasts we were going to trade for the retread. But somehow it never happened because I need to earn a living that I could take him up on his kind offer. And because of COVID, it was time. And I was a little concerned to spend the money because I didn't know when I was going to make any more money. But as luck would have it, my mother was retiring, getting some money. And she said, sweetheart, I will help you. You need to have those out. And since you're not working and you can't go anywhere anyway, after 30 years, let's do this. So I had my surgery 2 weeks ago yesterday. And, he's amazing. To be with somebody who's in the zone. Like, there's a moment when like I used to be able to watch the Yankees and I would see Jeter come to the plate. And just looking at Jeter's eyes, I would say the Yankees are going to win. Because it's almost like that magnet when you're a little kid, Harry, that you can draw a beard with the magnet with the little metal chips. When people are in the zone, they're charismatic, they're magnetic. By the time you're a board certified plastic surgeon in Beverly Hills that people fly in from around the world, you're already here. By the time you're, with the Yankees and the MLB, like there's the elite of the elite. And then there's that spiritual center, that person, that the magnet that draws all the chips behind it. And from the time I got to the surgery center, the nurse, everybody, the techs, I adore the anesthesiologist, so positive, Dr. Houston, beautiful, looks like a movie star, looks like Kerry Washington. But that being said, as soon as we got to talking in my little paper gown and he got to drawing, because they literally mark you up where they're going to cut with a Sharpie. As soon as he started drawing on my collarbone and circling my chi-chis, and I looked like I was about to do some kind of African chicken dance because I had all these weird circles and lines. And I have pictures of it. I'm not going to share it with you guys. You got enough with the goo. But I knew that I was going to be fine. And once again, all the way back from 1979, here we are 41 years later after something that was so horrific, so painful physically and emotionally. Imagine a young woman, scorching a cheech off. And then here I am, all these years later, Providence once again delivered a situation where for cost, I was able to, and I had the time. And in fact, Stanton, my producer, who's my friend, and since I don't have a man in my life, and he has a cool ass Tesla that the doors go up like that so that I don't have to worry about getting in a car with doors like this. I asked Stanton as a favor if he would pick me up from my surgery and help me, go home. And he took some pictures and filmed, and I have not seen them yet. I don't know if they're funny or blackmail material because I was on everything but roller skates at that point. I don't even know what I said. I barely remember getting home. But the upshot is that the kindness and the concern that everyone is, take time for yourself, heal, everything. And in fact, I have a very, very good also friend. I don't even like to say fan, and I've actually met him on numerous occasions. He's a Photoshop guy. I might send him the picture of my new chi-chis and he can put like stars on them like Dr. Seuss. So you guys just see like the surgery. Because I got to be honest with you. My Double D Ben & Jerry's have been replaced by Sprinkles cupcakes. And they are darn snappy. I am really, really happy with my new smaller chi-chis. But after you guys see the video of the goo, and maybe even Stanton can, figure out how to add the second video after the fact, it wasn't like it was loose all over my body. It's kind of just goo that congealed in one place or whatever. But Dr. Rahman said, imagine that your body has this foreign object in it that's slightly toxic. So even if you're only at 2% inflammation or trying to fight something or keep it under control, he said on some level, other than just the lightness, you're probably just going to feel better having all of that out of you. And I don't know if it's because I got the 30-year-old implant goo out, or because I made up my mind to do something and it went well, or because all of you have been so kind and love me so much, or because I decided that I was going to pivot and embrace this new world order and allow the old world order to die: anger, denial, bargaining, depression, acceptance. But since my surgery, and I'm being honest with you guys because I'm never any other way, before I went in on my surgery, because I've been moving forward in my mind, I actually prayed and I said, dear Lord, I'm out of, I never really had like a serious boyfriend, but I had sort of this dude I hung out with, and I didn't even have to break up with him because it wasn't a real relationship. So COVID took care of that for me. I just had to say I'm self-isolating, and that was the end of it. But the upshot is that, and I have no reason to lie to you, I wouldn't. Before my surgery, I actually prayed and I said, dear Lord, if there's any part of this girl that is not really trying to grow and change and adapt and be part of the solution, and I it's like Gandhi says, be the change. I wrote a script one time for NBC and I got paid a lot of money, and I'm going to tell you how I did it. Well, I wrote the script because I could, and it was good. But when you sign a contract in Hollywood, in case you didn't know this, they ask you your quote. And the quote means what you got paid on your last gig. So they kind of know. It's kind of like an executive gets paid this much and writers get paid. There's like a scale. But they ask your agent, your manager, what was your quote? Well, I didn't have a quote. I was a first timer and they knew it. So my lawyer said, what did you want me to put in, sweetheart? And he didn't mean it condescending, like we love each other, me and Jeffrey. And I said, put a little asterisk so they know that it's at the bottom. And my quote is, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. Gandhi. And he put it. And the guy from NBC Universal said, I got to meet this girl. And we went to lunch and I made him laugh. Then they laugh at you, then they fight you. Well, we're not going to pay you that much. Then you win. They did. So my new Gandhi quote is, be the change. There's a lot going on, boys and girls. There really is. But I actually prayed, if there's any part of me that's not going to be part of the better, of the solution, of the going forward, of the not wanting to do something until I do, until I make a decision. Like I say, decided and declared. Leave her on the table. I don't want that girl to wake up. I only want the best me to wake up. And 2 weeks ago yesterday, when I woke up, and I slept very, very long. I went into surgery at 9. They couldn't wake me till 4:45. They were going to close the clinic. So evidently it took a long time to say goodbye to her. But I did. And I woke up. And my beautiful nurse, Jimmy, and I say beautiful because he was a little Filipino man and I could only see his eyes and the lashes on him, and the other people that wheeled me out to Stanton. And I still don't know exactly how I got into I rented a hospital bed here in my apartment, but that whole thing is a blur. I slept from 9 in the morning when they put me under until 5 in the evening. And I said goodbye to an old way of life. I said, don't wake up, stay where you are. I've loved you. But just like that goo, I don't need you anymore. What got me here won't get me there. Anger, denial, bargaining, depression, acceptance. Acceptance. And then, here's the weird part. The exact moment you touch down on acceptance, joy happens. And not just a little bit of joy. I have been busier while I'm trying to heal. And now I'll tell you the story of where I'm sitting. You see these two posters? They're because the girl who went into a cold sweat when she had to, figure out how to do Facebook Live, got a call from a major cable network. I wasn't submitted. They called my people and requested me for a potential part in an important show that's already been sold. Somebody somewhere somehow saw me and thought that I might be good at playing, wait for it, a Latina maid. However, I own the company and it's a good show. It's an excellent show. It's actually very good, and the part was really juicy and I was very excited about it. And I had to get up at 6:00 in the morning on Monday of this week, barely, 10 days out of surgery, couldn't lift anything. My mother woke up, my two nieces woke up, they set up my lighting rig, my stand, my iPad Pro, in order to make the set look right for my self-tape. My nieces drew the schedule of the maids, and my niece Margot was so specific, she even put names: Hazel, Delaney, Sam. See, she's from San Francisco. She didn't just assume all maids are women. Sophia, Grace, Luna, Camilla. That's how detailed. That much love went into it. And my other niece, who doesn't have as good a penmanship, she did, because one of my lines was about this is what you get paid. She did, because it's right there, minimum wage, $12. And I woke up at 6 to run lines with my friend in New York at 9:00 her time. And it took us from 6 in the morning till 11 with people in New York calling saying, where's the tape? Where's the tape? Where's the tape? Because they wanted it Friday. I would have only been a week out of surgery. But, and I digressed about 3:30 loopy on the Monday the 15th. Let me finish this story off, because Hector reminds me that I do that sometimes. Here's my new iPad Pro. And on it, I downloaded a thing called We Audition that helps you self-tape. And if you ever wanted to be an actor or an actress, or you even just want to run lines, you can make money. We Audition. You can even sign up just to be a reader. It's the world we live in now. It's not like I'm at a disadvantage because I'm on a cruise ship and I don't know what I'm doing. Everybody has to self-tape because of COVID. It was the big leveler. So my nieces did my posters, and my mother woke up early. Between the three of them, they set me up, and I was able to run lines with my dear friend Lois Robbins, who's a wonderful actress, who made me feel so special by saying, I'm not in a hurry. We'll do this until you get it right. We did 13 takes. And when we got the one, and I'd never done this before, so not to be crude, but it's sort of like the expression, popping your cherry. Like I've never gone on We Audition. I've never run lines. I've never I hadn't done any of this. But I did. I decided that I was going to do it, that I wasn't just going to call New York and say, you know what, I just had surgery and thank you for the opportunity. It wasn't even about getting the part. It was about, I decided that I was going to embrace this new world order and I was going to learn a skill set. And how lucky am I that just like the podcast and Dr. Raban appeared, We Audition and Lois appeared. And she took the time to teach me something. And she encouraged me and said, boy, you're getting this really fast. You're really good at this. And we did it and we sent it. And when my nieces left, I said, I'm keeping these posters up until I get an answer back from the company, from the people. But I didn't care, and I still don't, if they pick me or not. I was so delighted with myself, with the world, with Lois, with my family, with the opportunities pouring in because I decided, because I even thought, even if I didn't get this one, I got the first one out of the way. And when somebody else calls, and they will, I'll know what to do, and I'll be good at it, or better, which is good enough, because I'm growing. So getting back, what's the name of my character? Thanks for asking, Michael. Yolanda. And after it's all over with, I might even post my self-tape just because it's pretty funny, because she is a heartless biatch. So but she's the comic relief on an otherwise serious show. And it was a great opportunity and is a great opportunity. And I haven't heard no yet. And nobody's in a hurry because we're spiking and people aren't in a hurry to go back into production. So until I hear no, I'm going to assume it's a yes. And I haven't gotten to any of the news stories. Please don't hold that against me. But let me go back to the 3:30 on the Monday after my surgery. So you guys commented that I was a little bit loopy, and Stanton was kind enough to put that show, grab it off of Facebook and put it on YouTube so people would understand and get an update. And it's on there, and I look loopy. You can see it in the eyes. I'm like, But the funny part is that I did my first corporate gig a half hour later on another platform called WebEx. And because I didn't know what I was doing, and I was a little bit high, I didn't push the camera. I just did audio. And afterwards, he was like, "You're hilarious. You're wonderful. Maybe next time you'll let us see you." Because I already knew I had 2 of them back to back. I was like, "Oh my goodness, I thought you could." But see, that's one of those blessing in disguises. They probably weren't supposed to see me because I definitely, when I went back and looked, I look a little, So that being said, I did my second one this week with the audio and the video and got lots and lots of love and more gigs. So as soon as I decided that this all was a very bizarre, it's the definition of God works in mysterious ways, it just keeps getting better. Let the old go. Let it die. Don't miss it. Don't pine for it. It got you here, but it won't get you there. Anger, denial, bargaining, depression, acceptance. And then after acceptance, joy. You guys have been my joy this week. I hope I've done something great for you. And I'll see you next Saturday. Love hard, forgive harder. Before we leave, I don't think I'm a bad person because I was feeling up Brad shy when I was only in junior high school. I just felt really bad now that I realized I told you that story. Okay, love hard, forgive harder. Because when I'm talking about a dry graze, it's like, Monique, come on. Love hard, forgive harder, and get as happy as you can, as fast as you can. See you next week, guys.